introduce Peter Boyd, our moderator.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Interactive audience. I am very excited to be here with all these different various little hats. I'm a parent of Earthplace kids every 3 years. Former board member there. I'm a member, proud member of this very church, and a former vestry member here. I'm on the board at Sustainable Westport, been on that for a little while too. And in my day job, I'm a lecturer at the Yale School of the Environment and Center of Business Environment there. So it's, as I say, exciting for us all to be here, exciting to meet some more chairs at the back. We took an extra photo of that. So really great to have everybody here with so much interest both in the audience and amongst our candidates. In the process, we had the privilege of, and I think all of us did, of meeting each individual candidate one-on-one, answering any questions that they might have of us, also cheekily asking them, do you have any questions that you want me to ask all three of you? So that's been part of the process. Another part of the process is, was anyone here at Oktoberfest at the weekend? Oh, you missed it if you weren't there. But it's one of my favorite events of the year, but this is also one of my favorite t-shirts that I ever had. It says, keep it nice. Keep it nice IPA. So you should have that as a thing, but it's also our rule, it's probably one of our only rules of this evening, is just keeping it nice. I also brought it along because every single candidate that is standing for November 4th had a sticker on at Oktoberfest at the weekend. The other potential rule of the game is a sort of 90-second rule. I'm going to have a little stopwatch here, and hopefully you can get a really good answer in to about 90 seconds. I might do a little T, like that's definitely 90 seconds. I'm not going to stop you, but if you're a repeated offender, I might go, come on now, it's time to move on and have some equal airtime amongst the three of you. That's what's so nice about being in a small town. We're all going to be civil and keep it nice tonight. And then if you want to put, as somebody says something maybe particularly controversial or something that you feel strongly about, maybe a little hand, and then we'll try and go for a 30-second rebuttal. If you say, like, I've got something quick to sort of come back at that if I can. So 90-second rule roughly, held gently amongst the four of us. The other one is, I love this, a favorite rule across business, coaching, academia, and debates, is to keep on one's own side of the net. In tennis, you don't jump over the net in the middle of the point and play somebody else's point. You say, I'm player one, I have my reality, player two's that reality, and there's the crowd with their own reality. So what I will be sort of firm on is if somebody jumps over and says, he thinks this, or they think that, or they didn't try, or whatever it is, those are things that are not in your own reality. So we're going to all stay, and it includes questions as well, on our own sides of the net as we're playing this game tonight. So with that, that's basically our rules. Our flow of this evening is with such a great crowd, and I recognize quite a few faces even without my glasses on, that we want to get to some time for questions. So it's going to be part 3. First piece, we're going to ask some questions to our candidates that we've prepared from many of you in the audience. So many experts and passionate residents have put in questions already. I will try and we've tried to combine them where we can, but it's going to be a flow of roughly past to present to future for you and the environment. Then there's going to be a rapid fire round, then open audience to questions, and then I'm going to have one last question at the end. And then there's a 5th secret one, which is not so secret, is we're all retiring to the bar across there, Any Squared, for those that want to get up and close with these guys, have a chat with them and each other, of course. So, everyone happy with the rules? Sounds good? Okay, some interaction as we started? Okay, so this is how we're going to use our precious time together. We're going to kick off. Our first question is actually also embedded in a brand new video from Sustainable Westport, which I think is being launched tonight and going live on the website tomorrow. So we're excited to do that. And what a great question to open up to our candidates. But we're just going to play the 2-minute video now. We hope the audio works.
I want Westport to be known for eliminating all single-use plastic.
I want Westport to be known for its healthy environment. I want Westport to be known for protecting green space.
I want Westport to be known as having the most electric cars per capita.
I want Westport to be known for having a beautiful and accessible waterfront.
I want Westport to be known for being the first town in Connecticut to actually get to net zero.
I want Westport to be known as a town that keeps raising the bar on behalf of the environment.
I want Westport to be known for non-herbicide lawns and gardens.
I want Westport to be known for prioritizing future generations over the short and immediate term.
I want Westport to be known as a town designed for people, not cars.
I want Westport to be known for its leadership in decarbonizing buildings and vehicles.
I want Westport to be known for its reliable public transportation system.
I want Westport to be known for having the most solar installations on its schools in Connecticut.
I want Westport to be known for having the most bike lanes in Connecticut.
I want Westport to be known for electing officials who are prioritizing sustainability.
I want Westport to be known for protecting its beaches and waterways.
I want Westport to be known as a town that's connected to nature and each other.
I want Westport to be known as the most sustainable town in the United States.
Sustainable Westport wants to provide resources to make our town sustainable, healthy, and thriving.
Tell us what you want Westport to be known for.
So welcome. What do you want the town to be known for? Let's go with you first, Don.
I would like Westport to continue to be known to being the first to do things. We were the first to ban plastic bags. We tried to ban plastic bags. And as long as we have that mindset that we're willing to do things first, we're willing to try, then I think we'll succeed and we'll move closer and closer to our net zero goal for 2050.
Thank you again for having me. That was a terrific video, very inspiring. I would like Westport to be a leader regarding the environment and sustainability. And we can do that in a number of different ways. Something I was giving some thought to as I was preparing for this debate was, why can't we, Westport, be the first healthy climate community where we do a number of things? We cut air pollution by making our town more bikeable and more walkable, and we use the Wheels to You program more actively. We protect our drinking water. We promote active lifestyles. I mean, look at the beautiful landscape this town provides. We can take full advantage by really working together to, at the same time, make the town, healthy in terms of the climate, but also healthy in terms of the lifestyles that we lead and that how we conduct ourselves here in town.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to Sustainable Westport and Earthplace for co-sponsoring tonight. Peter, thanks for moderating. And Christ and Holy Trinity, thank you for hosting us, and to all of you, thank you for coming tonight. I would love for Westport to be known again as a leader in sustainability. I think we have a tremendous opportunity in our town to get back to that reputation. In 2008, we were the first town in Connecticut, the first town east of the Mississippi to ban plastic bags. In 2019, we had our single-use plastic ordinance, and in 2018, we were Sustainable CT certified bronze, and 3 years later, we were certified silver. We have Westporters today feeling the real impact of the environment and sustainability. We are seeing frequent may be too strong, periodic closures of Campo Beach due to water quality. I know many Westporters who are experiencing flooding, which raises questions of resiliency. We've lost the community gardens. And we as a town let our sustainable CT certification lapse. So there is so much expertise in our town with sustainability, many of which is here in this room tonight. Well, we're just starting.
Excellent, excellent.
I'll play nice.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much. And there's, as you say, way more to come. That's a good example of a question that we've got in the town, that we all get inspired, and how the answers on the video were so complementary to each other, and the answers here were so complementary to each other, so I'm not doing my job for you. The rest of the questions will be trying to tease these people apart a little bit. So this one has to be unique. And I will start with you, Kevin, and go back down. Tell us in the sort of the same sort of time, minute or so, is like your journey as a candidate to your awareness on the environment and your keenness for the environment. What's been your journey that has informed you as a candidate for First Selectman?
My journey, I would start with the schools, both as a parent and PTA volunteer, and also as a board member. We have a school district-wide composting program in all of our schools, which is very kid-centric. Kids are incredibly involved in the cafeteria, understanding the implications and why composting is important. And being in the schools as often as I was as a PTA volunteer, I got to actually experience what that looks like and how impactful it is to start young. As a Board of Ed member in our new long lots and stepping stones and the educational specifications, we did request of the town for a net zero building to be strongly considered. That was also a significant part of my journey, and I tried to be conscious personally. Reusable water bottle. The entire school administration knows not to print meeting packets for me because I have everything electronically on my iPad. As a Westporter, moving from the city with my family a number of years ago. One of the first things I did was buy my battery-operated leaf blower, head trimmer, and chainsaw. So that's been part of my.
Thanks very much. And don't worry, Tony, leaf blowers are coming back. David, on to you.
Well, I come from an environmentally friendly family. My sister has a degree in coastal environmental management, so she's an expert. She has the skill. I may not have her skill, but I do have the will. I knocked on 700 doors to get elected to the RTM, and I learned a lot. I felt very equipped to do my job. The most common complaint that I got was about flooding, and there are many private roads that are victims of what happens on the public roads above them. We have no tree cutting regulations in town. We often dynamite on properties, and a lot of these actions, as well as tearing down small cottages and replacing them with max coverage new builds, that really severely impacts the flooding situation in town. When I knocked on doors, I entered homes, I went to the backyard, I saw berm, I saw tens of thousands of dollars in some cases spent on berm and drainage. This is something that really concerned me. In terms of then getting elected, we've had a number of environmental issues to deal with on the RTM, and I'm proud of my record. I was one of 10 people to vote in the minority to not spend $620,000 to tear down part of Jessup Green for parking, because there were environmental reasons and sentimental reasons, but those trees were very important for coverage and for carbon, etc. And I've also voted to delay the golf equipment at the golf course on Longshore because we hadn't really looked into the greener options. So I really think it's important that we look at solar panels, solar options, electric vehicles before we make decisions about anything regarding equipment or new builds.
Thank you. So good on time. Don, your journey.
So my journey really goes a little bit earlier than that. It's when I was a little kid, my grandfather bought a farm in upstate New York, and that's where we spent every summer for vacation. And when you have a 300-acre farm with cattle, basically it's beef farm, you appreciate the environment. You appreciate that the pastures are there for the cows. The pastures are there and they shouldn't be spoiled. And you really learn to appreciate what what your own property can do. I think it's what you do for the environment is important when people aren't looking. So when it's not particularly popular, having a compost area in your home is important. And just doing the things that you should do to protect the environment. But how about a tangible piece of information? When we began to rebuild, or not to really rebuild, but when we began to build a new Longlots Elementary School, we had a choice of employing solar and geothermal or not. And there was no doubt that we were going to do solar and geothermal. It was more expensive, but it was the right thing to do. I am prepping for going and getting what ultimately ended up being unanimous approval for our new school, which is probably the most net zero, or marching towards net zero, of any construction in town. I was a little worried about whether we were going to get that financial approval for the additional spend for geothermal. So I talked to my son, who's a finance guy, and I said, hey, what do you think? Because the ROI may not be in line. He said, what price the environment, Dad? And that's what you have to do. You have to say, what price the environment?
Excellent. Thank you very much. And we will come back to that, Don. I know there's a part story there which is important, because the next question, which I'll actually go to you, David, first, just so we have turns in starting, is like, to the extent you've touched on any of the stories already, but what have you done that you'd like to be considered on the record for the town to say, like this is what I did in the environment so far? And to the extent you led, you supported, you weren't in the way, just the clearer you are on the role you played is important. David, you go first.
Well, yeah, I think I touched upon some of that in my earlier response. But I am proud of the track record that I have, my voting record on the RTM. I do think part of the job as someone serving the public is to be a good listener and to take everything into account. And by knocking on those doors and talking to people in general, is what I do basically for a living, is listening to what the issues are. And this town, as is evidenced by that incredible piece you saw in the beginning, has so much to offer. We want to preserve that. And we have major issues that we're dealing with. I think some of my proudest moments, the ones I mentioned on the RTM, are the moments where I defended environmental protection. There's things that I think I've thought about that we could do incrementally to get to our goals. I think we talk about our 2050 sustainability goals broadly, but in the next 3 to 5 years we can really show results, and so we need to be more accountable to that. I was giving just a simple thought. I was looking into some energy ideas. I think Eversource has a program I just was alerted to, where if all of us agreed in town to do our laundry or do our dishes and charge our electric vehicles at night, late at night or early in the morning, we would stress the grid much less. And we would probably all save 10 to 20% on our costs. So there's so many little things that I would like to bring to the table should I or when I get elected.
Great, so nudging into the future there, but that's let's go, Don, do you want to come back on your piece on what have you done, what was your role, led, supported, not in the way, what happened?
Well, I think I closed it out by saying that what new build in town is the most sustainable, or will be the most sustainable, and I led the effort to make it sustainable by really driving the financial reasons to bring it home. And to me, it was justifying the spend, the additional spend on geothermal. It's going to be a couple $2 million, but we do get rebates, so it brings the cost down somewhat. But there's no question that that's the way to go. When we were looking at designing the school, we went up to Mansfield and looked at the new school that was just built there. And you go in, and right on the right-hand side of the wall is a big board, and it tells everybody walking in how much energy is being used. And in many cases, the energy is a net positive. Mansfield is actually contributing to the grid. So that's what we should be doing. Everything that we look at in town, every time we go forward with a new build, we should be looking at things that are bringing us to net zero, and we should have the data there to show. My mentor at City always told me that you can't manage what you can't measure, and the best way to measure it is to look what you're contributing, not what you're using.
Thank you. Kevin, on the record.
On the record, as I mentioned earlier, with our educational specifications for the new long lots and stepping stones, advocating for a net zero school from the town, continuing to ensure our district-wide composting is well implemented and well utilized and understood from an educational perspective for our kids. And what will be on the record is, at this point, continuing to cultivate relationships and understand what resources are available to us in our town and in our state to tackle issues like flooding. There are state resources available for the taking. This is not something that we need to create from scratch. Circa and Connecticut, the Institute for Resilience and Climate Adaptation, they can help us with our floodplain maps. They can help with educational resources for Westporters and homeowners. There are a number of resources available to us.
Okay, so I'm going to keep, apart from keeping us on time, also keeping us on question. If I was to just double click on that question, in terms of leading/supporting, Don, I heard you said, I led the financial business case on long lots. Is there another example of something else where you've supported or voted for? And then for the other two that didn't say I've led something, is there something else that's tangential that the audience could say, yes, I've led on that issue, I spearheaded it, it wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for me. So Don, maybe if you could tell us like your piece, another thing that isn't long lots, since you led the effort there.
Sure. And when I was on the Board of Ed, and this is going back to 2005 all the way through 2012, we, just like Kevin was describing, the ability to impose sorting of trash throughout the school, whether it was composting or just recycling. We started that program, or we enhanced that program when I was on the Board of Education. So I think that's a pretty broad reaching impact, starting the sorting, starting recycling.
Thank you.
Well, as many of you know, I haven't been in this town for as long as some other people, but I have led my own household to plant 53 trees on my lawn, looking back. I planted 53 trees last year, and there's a palpable difference in the amount of flooding we have in our yard, and I'm very proud of that. When you plant trees, you see the effect it has on water. Water has to go somewhere, so I'm very proud that we added trees to our lawn instead of taking them away. It also, I think big trees, as they grow, they offer a canopy, which lowers the temperature in general, and they harbor carbon. And I think just if we all, it's getting very intimate.
Don't worry, we're saving electricity, everybody. Don't worry.
And that's very good news. And I think if we all kind of led like that in our own yards, and we all played our little role, as I mentioned before, if we maybe did our dishes late at night, or we planted trees in our yard, I think we'd see a real difference in flooding, for example, and our energy usage.
Thank you.
sure. My PTA days and executive board and treasurer advocating and helping to fund refillable water stations in our elementary schools was a big one. Certainly one that I have been passionate about for a long time and continue to be.
Great. Thanks everybody, and thanks for also going with me on the double click and the shorter answers. So now we're going to go to your, so that's sort of a past, we'll go to the present, and some views on where we are right now. So as you think about the negative impacts, we as a world, but even we as a town are already seeing from climate change, what do you see and what concerns you most about here in Westport, and what are your top priorities that you'd want to fix? I'm going to try, let's see, I think it's Kevin's turn to start.
Rising sea levels is top of mind as a coastal town. Circa estimates a rise in Connecticut sea level at 20 inches over the next few decades, which is certainly meaningful and eye-catching. And the other one, which many of us have talked about already, is flooding. In general, as a coastal town, not just on the coast, certainly inland as well. Talked to many Westporters all over town, even where water and streams are not necessarily visible, and flooding is a top concern. And you combine that with the amount of clear cutting that we've seen, whether it be on state, proposed municipal, or homeowner land, and what that does from a stormwater or storm or flooding perspective, with the inability for trees, tree canopies, gardens to absorb that water. Those are flood resiliency and rising sea levels are certainly two of my top priorities to tackle.
Thank you. David.
As some of you know, I'm on the Westport Arts Advisory Committee, and we have 5 murals behind anthropology downtown, and I was responsible for updating the artist blurbs. There's one piece called Westport 2070 that was painted by, I believe, a Staples graduate named Rebecca Ross, and it depicts a Westport 2070, a downtown Westport. There's high lines, the entire downtown is covered in water. We have gondoliers, we have people with jetpacks. At first, it's a very enjoyable piece, but then you actually realize that if we're on this journey, this path, we have to be really careful. I think the First Selectman is going to have to really look into return on investment of adding infrastructure that really addresses these issues. There's going to be a trade-off. If you have to add, let's say, culverts or drainage when necessary, is there going to be the ability to preserve property values? We're going to have to be really careful how we deal with flooding. I've learned, even on my street, one of my neighbors asked me to ask Public Works for a drain as they were repaving the roads recently, and that would have cost a lot of money. And I heard, and our Public Works guys know every street in detail, and he told me that if we were to add a drain, first of all, we'd have to go to the RTM and it'd be very costly. But the water is diverted so carefully, because water has to go somewhere, and each watershed is very tightly managed, and if you add any more water, you'd have to add more bigger pipes, and it's not so easy. Water always is going to flow somewhere. So we really need to look very carefully at the cost benefit of addressing some of these things with whatever means we can.
Don, water.
Water everywhere. Well, I thought the question was, what do I see around town that I think are low-hanging fruit, things that you can do stuff about?
And most concerns you, sorry, just to be clear on the question. What do you see and what concerns you most? Therefore, what are your priorities to fix?
Okay, so they happen to be aligned. What I see is school buses are pretty empty. And there are a lot of people driving their kids to school. Some of them are really, really good reasons to drive the kids to school. And frankly, there's a line in here on some of the proposals that talks about stigmatizing people dropping kids off at school. That's wrong. We're not going to stigmatize anybody. But the Board of Ed made a decision a few years back to change start times. Now, good idea, more sleep for Staples kids. But it pushed the end time back, and that led to less time for activities, more parents picking their kids up less kids on the buses, more cars on the street. So unintended consequences are, that's just a very important thing. Now, regarding water, we had the option on Long Lots to build to a 25-year flood plain, and we chose much more than that, up to 100 in some cases. So people going above and beyond, I think, is what's really important. So what I like to see are less cars, because more kids are on buses, and people going above and beyond what code is.
Thank you. So let's talk about Westport being one of the first towns, if not the one, to have a net zero by 2050 goal, agreed by across the RTM. And as we're getting there, we're not getting there, but neither is our country, neither is our planet. So the need, though, is just as much as ever before. So how would you resource the goal? We've had a few questions being from the very specific, which I'd love you to cover. Like, would you put a sustainability manager into your town staff? And also there's a money question here. It's like, how much budget do you think this is worth? So how would you resource a plan to get to net zero by 2050, which we've all as a town across parties agreed we should be doing? Don, I think it's your turn next. Feel free to self-organize and make sure that you take turns.
So the question about whether, first, again, I talked about what price the environment, so that applies to the budget as well. In terms of whether or not there would be a direct report to me as First Selectman, I'm not sure that that's something I want to do, at least straight away. But what I would do is every direct report, and there are 17 of them, would have sustainable responsibilities. If it got to the point where I needed to have a direct report, in addition to every direct report having sustainable responsibilities, then I would do that. I've managed all my life. I know how to manage, and I know what works. And just having a single direct report manage the sustainable portfolio may not be the best way to go. It's possible, but it hasn't been my experience that works as well. So I think that what we would do is go in, Andrew and I would look at all of the direct reports, what has to be done, and everybody would have their tasks, and then it would be carefully managed. But with 17 direct reports, you can sort of shuffle the chairs a bit, and you could end up with a direct report that just is responsible for sustainable issues, with others having that same set of responsibilities, but not all. And that could probably be done. But to just commit to doing it straight away without being in there and looking at how things work, I think is not the way to do it.
Although Andrea does probably know what they all do. She's there. Next up, I think is it David. Go for it.
Sure. One of the pillars of my platform is more accountability. So while I may not be ready to say I'd hire a sustainability manager today, I am open to the idea. One thing I'd want to do is look at other towns and see the towns that have hired sustainable managers, or some have even hired more than one, and see how that's working. But I'm not at the stage now that I'm ready to do that. But we do need something. We need someone in town hall that is responsible, that holds all the departments accountable. Are they checking the list? When they look at, as I said earlier, a new build or a new piece of equipment, I think the number one box should say, is this helping us reach our sustainability goals of 2050? There needs to be somebody in-house that is doing that on an ongoing basis. How that looks is something I have to explore. And as I said, I'm willing to look at other areas in Connecticut and even across the country where it's been implemented and see how it's working. I want to see results before I commit to a sustainability manager.
Okay.
How would I resource it? I would look back on where we used to be when we as a town were silver certified by Sustainable CT. There is a long list of resources and actions from Sustainable CT that will help help us move the needle forward to a more sustainable town. My view is to start there, and let's forget silver. Let's go for gold. I think it's a low-hanging fruit. It's something that we were able to resource as a town with the previous operations director. I am similarly not at the point where I'm willing to say that we need to add headcount. I think once we do get back to silver and gold certified, we can take a longer-term look at opportunities. I think the Sustainable CT certification, one other thing that it does, aside from just a label, it does open up more opportunities for grants, which, you know, as we talk about, you know, the cost benefit to sustainability, which is obviously incredibly important, but we also think about fiscal responsibility and our taxpayer dollars. Being able to seek and secure as much grant funding as possible is also critical from a funding perspective.
And I have a hand, our first hand of the evening. So, quick comeback.
Sure, and it's really as a follow-up to what David said. From a best practices perspective, looking to see how other towns are operating. I've done that research. Fairfield has a direct report, just a sustainable direct report. West Hartford has it the way I was describing, where everybody sort of has a sustainability as part of their portfolio. Both do very, very well. So both can work, and we just have to pick what's best for us.
Thank you. So, from resourcing the plan to, let's just wait, somebody wants to call in because they can't make it in person. From resourcing the plan and getting to net zero by 2050 to actually having a plan, transition plans, you know, sort of plans to get things done, what classic, was it management leadership in terms of what gets measured gets managed, etc. It's like, what steps would you take to get us to assess where we are and put a plan together? What are your steps? And I think it's David first.
Well, you know, once again, it goes back to holding ourselves accountable. One of the ideas I had is, you know, every year we should have a resiliency scorecard. I mean, something that tells us how we've done that particular year, so we can assess if we've achieved anything incrementally over the course of the year. I think that would go a long way instead of just having this nebulous 2050 goal that's hanging over our heads. I really want to address, you know, we want to protect our green space, for example. There's so many issues that I think we can endeavor to address, like protecting our green space, let's say using sustainable building materials, planting native plants to perhaps help with flooding. There's so many things that we could be looking at, and I'd like to explore them all.
Sorry, I just wanted to get in on the sort of the question. We'll get to other things later, but the question is like, how would you put a plan together? Like, what steps would you do to get a plan in?
I think it's very important that the town works closely with Sustainable Westport and Earthplace if they want to be involved. It's important that we take advantage of our resources. There's so many people in this town that are highly skilled in this area and have many talents. It's so important that we utilize those talents and make sure that we work as a town closely with Sustainable Westport and anyone else that we think we can leverage their skill set. It's very important that we take advantage of that as a town.
What steps would you do to put a plan together?
A bit of it is what I said earlier. To me, Sustainable CT provides a plan and roadmap to become a more sustainable town. And similarly, I do agree there are people and resources in town that do tremendous work, from Sustainable Westport, Earthplace, Wakeman Town Farm Sustainability Center, and people that have helped get us to silver certification in the past. There are at least 11 categories in the Sustainable CT site with probably at least 10 tasks within each that provide a real and concrete plan to become a more sustainable town. I would start there.
Being First Selectman is a management job. You have to manage the town. And you have to manage your march towards sustainability. So what you do is you assess where you are. As soon as you get in the job, you assess where you are, and then you set your goal about where you want to be. And then there are milestones along the way, and you track how everyone is doing against those milestones. And it can be the town first, but it can also be examples. You can, for example, you walk into a fast food restaurant, and when you see the calorie count on a double Whopper, you may not get a double Whopper. But if you see what the sustainability score on a restaurant is, that might be an attractive thing. And as more and more places adopt measurement, and more places adopt knowing where we're going and being rewarded for it, whether it's being rewarded in compensation or being rewarded by having more customers, that's how you get things done. It's a management job, and sustainability is also a management job.
Okay, thanks so much for the first round of answers on this one. I want to press a little bit here, because who's going to write the plan? If we were to ask the very skilled members of Sustainable Westport and Earthplace and other volunteers, they say that we have no money, no resources. We don't yet have a sustainability manager, as I listened to the first time. So who's going to write it? Anyone first? Hands up.
I'll go. I think that we have the foundation for a plan. I think some of the information that Clarence has been sharing with us is the foundation for a plan. So when you get in, do you really think there'll be a plan on day one? I hate when people say on day one, this is what I'm going to do, because it never happens. But you have a reasonable amount of time, you work with people who know what they're doing, and you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. That's how things get done, and that's what I would do.
Who's going to write it?
Yeah. Clarence has provided us with pages and pages of very good ideas, and I think we have a good starting point. We should keep our eye on the prize. I think we can't do it all at once. I know we need to have a holistic approach, but we probably should choose 5 or 6 main things we can focus on at first, and keep the 2050 goals in our mind. But if we could try to tackle incrementally 4 or 5 or 6 key agenda items and start there, I think that would be very helpful, and it'll show results, and then we can kind of see progress.
Sure, let's go right in.
It's already written with my approach. Sustainable CT has the roadmap, and then it becomes a question of who has, or how can I reallocate time for someone. Certainly I would be ultimately responsible for it. I suspect there may be a direct report or two who may be able to reallocate some time and resources to oversee a little bit more of the day-to-day. But I think it's certainly manageable and executable to start with Sustainable CT and someone internally to oversee it.
Thanks so much. We're going to switch gears now and do hyper-national, then hyper-local. So on the national side, and Donna, I have to start with you. Of course. In what way, if any, does your environmental platform differ from your party of choice?
I believe in the science. I think that's, maybe I should just walk and stop after that.
Anything else that you differ from her?
That sums it up.
That's it. Okay. David, you have to choose your parties how you differ. Go for it. On the national
So the Independent Party of Connecticut is not quite the independent party nationally, but they do have environmental goals, and they are to preserve the environment and make sure that all our decisions, something very attractive to me about the independent party, is that they're all about local municipal decision making, and the environment is something they're very sensitive to, so that was really attractive to me. about joining the Independent Party. And yeah.
Thank you. Kevin.
The question is how much it differs?
It's how do you identify or differ with the national platform of your party?
I think it's at a high level. It's similar. Climate change is real, and it's a true community and neighbor issue and opportunity. What I do or do not do impacts my neighbor. What we as Westport do or does not do impacts our neighbors in Fairfield County and so on. So as we think about, and I think about a lot what brought me here and my family to Westport, and the true real impact and positive aspect of our town is really the people in the community. The overlap and the through line with sustainability truly resonates, and I think that's another aspect that ties back to the national party.
Thank you. Let's go hyperlocal. So in terms of what I think a lot of the concerns from our questions coming in beforehand was things like community gardens issues, destruction and clear cutting of developments, the DOT connector site, the potential clearance at Longshore. What would you do if you got elected to reverse this, what would be disappointing trend for a lot of us here in this room? Let's see, is it Kevin first? I think it is.
I've already committed to rebuilding the community gardens myself and my running mate Amy Wistrek, who's sitting in a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting now. She sends her hello and regrets not being able to be here tonight. That's one. I think if there were in the future, or even now, with state-owned land in our town. I would certainly advocate for Westporters and neighbors, and certainly if DOT was to reach out to me proactively, if I didn't reach out to them first, I would certainly pick up the phone or return an email. As it relates to clear cutting, I would look to establish some framework and guidelines, whether that be something that we can do in town hall department, or advocate from an ordinance perspective with the RTM, or whether be advocating with planning and zoning for some clear cutting regulations. I think that is a significant opportunity to improve our flood resiliency in a green and natural way.
One of my priorities, day one, is to make sure we find a good home for the community garden. And I envision a town that not only restores the community garden to a nice location, but we have many gardens. We need to preserve our green space first and foremost. And wouldn't it be nice if we drove around town and there were many gardens? I think it's imperative that whoever sits in the First Selectman's office has constant communication with the state. And that was a travesty what happened on the Sherwood connector. As I've said many times already today, the lack of tree cutting regulations, what happened on Sherwood, that is very painful. We should be adding trees where we can and not removing trees. That can't happen again. And I think we definitely want to not only restore the community garden, but have many gardens everywhere and take advantage of all our beautiful green space.
So just first the clear cutting that you're talking about on the connector, I think that was obviously state land. Not a lot that Westport can do other than engage and battle to not have it happen, but ultimately state land is controlled by the state. Community gardens, that's something that is highly controversial. I offered, along with Jen Tucker and Jay Keeney, to rebuild the community gardens in Barron South in October of 2023. that was rejected. Does not mean that I'm not in favor of rebuilding the community gardens. The Parks and Rec Director, Eric Barbieri, is looking at options to replace the community gardens. And if Mr. Barbieri came to me when I'm First Selectman and said, I want to put it in this place or that place, I would say, sure, because you've already thought it out. And clearly he would have been working with the community gardens. So yes, rebuild it and do as much as we can to make sure that while we're respecting property rights, that we can, when you have clear cutting on land where you've taken out trees, you replace the trees. Not in kind, but you do your best to replace what you can. So those are the things that I think are important.
Quick comment there. Or build.
Just in terms of the state, I think our town has an opportunity to advocate more for what Westporters need with the state. And I think or I know what I read, Westport Journal reported, as it relates to the Sherwood Island Connector, that even though it is a state-owned facility, the state reached out to Town Hall for feedback from neighbors as it relates to their plan, and Westport Journal reported that the state did not get a response. And that is something, if I did not get to the state first, if the state happened to reach out to me, they would definitely get a return phone call. And what happened on the connector, it's unfortunate. I've been there. There was one open house there when I was there, and one neighbor already sold their house because of what happened there.
So you guys are getting good at combining answers and keeping to time. So let's do clean air in Westport. What would you do if elected to make it more walkable and bikeable, to get cars off the road, especially combustion cars? And what's your stance on the leaf blower issue and opportunity? To clean air, that's your topic.
Clean air, let me just break it down by what we're going to do to make the town more walkable and bikeable. As somebody that walks, although the last couple of weeks I haven't been, but last 5 years, 8 to 10 miles a day, I know how important it is for pedestrian safety. The more sidewalks we can put in, the better. And the advances that have been made in the last several years to install sidewalks have been great. I don't think anybody has a problem with the addition of sidewalks, and I'm hoping people don't have a problem with additional spends to add more. So that's what I think we should do for pedestrian safety and for cyclist safety. We should just have more sidewalks and more bike lanes. Regarding the leaf blower ban, the leaf blower ban is, I don't have a gas-powered leaf blower. I have an electric leaf blower, battery-powered leaf blower. And during the debate, there was a lot of discussion about, is the industry ready? And I think as soon as the industry is ready, and I think they're very, very close, then our regulations in town should end up with more teeth.
Yes, it's imperative that we make the town more walkable, we have more sidewalks, make it more bikeable. As I said earlier, we encourage more use of Wheels to You program, not take away their funding. I've looked in residents' eyes who live right near the Crabari Bridge off Imperial. Traffic gets backed up already there, and there is an air quality issue. People have created wonderful backyards where they have hummingbirds and green space and gardens, and then they're really seriously worried about the quality of the air that they're breathing. We have to do whatever we can. That's really one of the first things I'd be focusing on, is to make sure we add sidewalks, we add bikeability, we encourage use of Wheels to You, get less cars on the road, and that will help two things: traffic, and let people get places more quickly, and air quality will improve. In terms of the leaf blowers, we need some teeth. We really need to make sure we can enforce our rules, whether it's plastic usage in takeout orders, or it's leaf blowers, we need ordinances that we can enforce. You know, it's a first step, but we have to make sure that we actually can enforce the rules that we come up with.
Yeah, I definitely support a more walkable and bikeable town, whether it be on town-owned roads, state roads, the opportunity just to connect neighborhoods so families and have peace of mind as their kids can go from one street and up Compo Road North to the next street and have them just a peace of mind that they will be safe. And certainly more walkability and bikeability, healthier town, theoretically reduces traffic. So I am very supportive of that, and Bike Westport and their pledge as well. As for the leaf blower ordinance, I am supportive of the leaf blower ordinance. Certainly reducing noise and pollution in the summertime. I love that. You know, I do think from a town perspective, it feels a bit of do as I say, not as I do with the town's exemption from it. So I would love to, pretty close to day one, understand whatever the operational concerns are or any incremental cost or service concerns are relating to the town, also complying with the leaf blower ordinance. And I think there's opportunities, generally speaking, to educate more on why the leaf blower ordinance is important to create more buy-in in our community. And I agree. I am interested in other opportunities to enhance enforcement and compliance as well in the summertime.
You almost got me excited there. It was like, on day one, understand.
Sorry,
so, it's a successful campaign. 4 years are down the line. You look back with a big smile on your face in front of this very crowd because certain things have happened. What specific policy levers have you put in place? What resourcing commitments have come to reality? And what accountability measures have you put in place such that you're smiling and this room is smiling in 4 years' time? So you can have a think about it. Sometimes it's better to have a think, get your pen out if you want, but it's like specific policy levers, specific resourcing that's happened, and accountability measures that are in place, and then therefore people that want us to be a sustainable town are happy.
Is it?
I think it's you.
Okay, so in 4 years, we will, I mean, it's the old Ronald Reagan line, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? We will be better off now, we will be better off in 4 years than we are now. We'll have more sustainability programs in place. We will reach for, if we can, gold status, and we will have measurements, and that to me is the most important thing. We will be able to track where we have been and where we're, that's sort of the path to where we are 4 years hence, to understand what our successes are. So when we look back 4 years from now, we'll be able to say, look at all the things that happened. It started with installing geothermal at Longlots. It started with installing greater flood protection that was needed in Longlots, and it has continued because that was the pattern.
Next up.
Yeah, once I take office 4 years later, we're going to have results. It's going to be resident-driven results. You've all heard about bringing back the brown bag lunches. I think we can also, going back to one of the earlier questions, listen to the public. We can get ideas not only from Sustainable Westport and Earthplace and everyone else, but also the people. There's probably many good ideas we haven't even thought of yet. A town, after 4 years of David Rosenwaks' leadership, will look very different. We're going to have much more walkability, bikeability. We're going to have native plants planted where they make sense, fewer impervious surfaces. We're going to start using sustainable building materials. And most importantly, we are going to have, as I said earlier, a resiliency scorecard that shows every year the incremental improvements that we've made holding ourselves accountable. I think at the core of what I'm trying to achieve here is really making this about Westport, making it about what residents are looking for, so I am going to be listening. And I think we also need to make sure that we actually deliver on the ordinances. We actually do come up with how we can enforce the leaf blower ordinance and how we can make sure people aren't using plastic and everyone brings their water bottles. There's no reason why Westport can't be a leader. And I think through constant communication and constant dialogue and transparency and holding each other accountable, we can get there.
Kevin, successful 4 years.
Successful 4 years. We're gold certified by Sustainable CT, which has opened us up for more grant opportunities, as we will also have, in support of our flood and resiliency plan, which we would have certainly within the next 4 years. We would have an actual plan to get to or as close to net zero by 2050 as possible by the end of my 4 years. As we talk about the leaf blower ordinance, the town would be compliant with the leaf blower ordinance. I also think from a community organization perspective, with an Earthplace, we are all on board, our community and our funding bodies, with the value that Earthplace provides, and no longer talking about possibly reducing the funding from the town. We truly partner with Sustainable Westport and the tremendous amount of expertise that they bring to the table. Similarly for Wakeman Town Farm, the Sustainability Center, recognizing what a gem that is as well, in addition to Earthplace and Sustainable Westport, and all.
Thank you very much. Well, you've now got a chance here. We're entering, get ready for 1 or 2 questions, but we've got most of them have hopefully, if you submitted in advance, we've tried to integrate. This is a quick fire round where there's like 10 seconds or less answers, and even better, 2 words. So for instance, pick your 4-year success that you've just given us. You see any one of us in the street in less than a year's time, say about a year's time from now, what are you promising you will have done? So, quick fire, just pick one of your things. What would you have done? 10 seconds, go for it.
I think I would have implemented a tremendous number of measurements so we can track ourselves to see how well we're doing against our goals.
Tremendous measurements. David?
Community garden would be growing their vegetables, and we would be identifying other green space we want to preserve.
Kevin?
We have our resiliency plan.
Resiliency plan in place. Thank you. Good, you got the hang of this. Okay, now there's a couple of complex answers coming up, or that are in your head, so you're allowed to have a second word, but or and. But I'm really looking for a 1-word answer, and maybe a but or an and if you think you've got more things to talk about with our friends in the pub. So, sustainability manager, yes or no? Kevin?
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Are you going to hire one? Yes or no?
On day 1, after 1 year?
Within a year. Within a year.
No.
Okay. David?
We've explored it, we've done our due diligence, and we'll see.
We'll see? Yeah, the word's good. That's not yes or no. It could be yes but or no but.
Okay. We've explored it.
Oh, that's not in the words.
Yeah. Well.
Yes and yes but.
Yes, perhaps. I really don't know.
There we go. Another one. Done.
As I've said, no, but it's possible that it could come in.
No but. No but. You're getting the hang of this. That's it. No but. There's a complication. Okay. Sustainable Connecticut certification. This is an easy one. Yes, get back in the game. No, leave it fallow, as we have done for the last few years. Or cautious re-entry. Yes, leave cautious. Done.
Cautious.
Cautious.
Gold.
All right.
Walkable, bikeable Westport. Continue the good work, continue or extend what has been done with more effort and budget. Continue or extend? David.
Extend.
I missed the beginning. Back to Westport.
Walkable, bikeable Westport. Continue the good work that making our town more walkable, or extend it with more money, resources. Walkable, bikeable Westport.
Sorry, are those two answers different?
Yes.
Expand or...
Yes, continue with the current budget, increase the budget, increase the effort. Continue or extend?
Extend.
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 Willing to remove some parking for increasing biking or walkability? Yes, definitely. Maybe. No. Done.
No.
No.
If it was one spot for some bike racks, maybe.
Maybe. Okay, flick it around and you got it. Maybe. Spot. Okay. Paid parking downtown? Yes, no, maybe. We'll go to David. Too slow.
Maybe.
Don.
It's step 3 in the process, so
Yes.
it's a maybe.
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 Maybe. Okay. This is an easy one because you already talked about it. Leaf blowers. Continue as is, enforce the existing, or extend to year round. Continue, enforce, extend. Who's good first? Is the fastest one now.
Enforce.
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 Okay. No difference there. I failed. Town exemption is allowed to continue. Yes? No.
Sorry, say that.
The town exemption to our own leaf blower ordinance is allowed to continue. Yes or no?
No.
No.
Yes. Until the industry.
Oh, yes, but. Or yes, and.
It's a yes, but.
Okay.
I mean, I think they've proven that it can't handle.
Okay. We've got only a couple more left, so get ready with your hands. Wheels to you. Continue to squeeze it. Continue to make it walk limply onwards or extend. Wheels to you. Squeeze, continue, extend.
Extend.
This is like a buzzer right now.
Extend for now.
Oh, definitely extend.
Extend, extend, extend. Pay as you throw trash so that we actually get paid for the amount of rubbish that we create. Yes, no, maybe, and you're allowed a but or an and.
Smart. Save money, reduce trash, yes.
I've heard it works. Maybe.
Same, maybe.
Okay. Ordinance that you would personally sign/champion to tighten up tree cutting and clearing. Continue as is, enforce what we're supposed to be doing, or extend.
Sorry, is it?
Tightening up ordinances to tighten up on
Yeah.
tree cutting, tree clearing, land clearing, that other question
Yeah,
earlier.
what were the three?
Just I want to get it down. As is, enforce forcefully what we're currently supposed to be doing, extend. Tighten it up further.
The latter.
Tighten up further.
I'd tighten up further.
Tighten up further?
Tighten up.
Tighten. I failed. Okay. $5 million grant has just come in. What do you want to spend it on? Renewable energy or flood resilience?
Flood resilience.
Can we go half and half?
You could do that. You can do anything here.
Yeah, I think half and half would be great.
There you go. Okay. And a sustainable transition plan that we can all read. Yes, within a year, maybe a bit more than a year, or maybe much longer. Yes, within a year, maybe, and no. Actually, that's that. Yes, within a year, maybe a bit more than a year, no.
Yes, within a year.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm retiring a happy voter moderator that we're getting a sustainable transition plan, whatever the candidates are. So, round of applause, please. You heard it here. I'm always fishing for my headline and woo. We are having a sustainability plan by the end of the year, whoever gets voted in. That's fantastic. I'm going to put my glasses on. We've got time for a couple of questions. Hopefully most of them that were asked. Good quick hand. I'm going to repeat your question. Go for it. Got it. So just to clarify for the tape, given the air quality piece, so back to clean air, and we actually got one of the worst. You talked about some of the solutions earlier, but what are you going to do about solar on town property?
I think solar, wherever we can put solar in, whether it's canopies or on rooftops, we should. The only challenge or the only concern I have with installing solar canopies on school grounds is it sometimes blocks visibility. So you want to be able to see who's in the parking lot from the district offices. But yeah, all for increasing solar.
Yeah, I'm for increasing solar too. I know we're not talking about downtown parking, but most people seem to want to explore a double deck. I envision a double deck over here with green space and solar panels, and we can find ways to give back energy to the merchants and to the public.
Certainly support more solar on municipal-owned buildings, and also securing any additional educational resources for homeowners with the benefits in the process.
Great, that was another quick hand as well, I thought. And then, okay, we'll see what we can get to. Yep, go for it. A question mark, short question, go for it.
Having co-written the net zero plan, I'm wondering if any of you can tell me what probably the key requirement is in it to implementing it.
So just to repeat that, from the author of the net zero plan, which net zero? An author of which net zero plan?
Westport.
Westport's net zero plan. What is the key implementation mechanism recommended?
Look, honestly, I don't know if there's specifics about the management process that has to be in place or the funding, but you can't get anything off the ground without everybody embracing it and moving towards it.
No.
Next up.
Yes, I agree. I think we all need to get comfortable with what's in there, and I'm sure we have a lot to do to get there, and we have to enforce our non-use of plastic, and we have to get better air quality, and make sure that we all move forward together with it.
I'd say bringing a lens to every town municipal decision from a budget and capital perspective, and using that sustainability lens, and will it get us a step closer to net zero or not?
What's the answer?
The answer is almost what Kevin said. The answer is that we put in a clause that says any financial decision made by the town can not be made solely on the basis of finances, but also has to take into equal account environmental safety and social, not justice, but social responsibility.
So for those that hear
not just financial.
So financial decision, but sort of Brundtland report definition, effectively, of sustainability. So it sounds like there's not too many readers of your fantastic report in the room. So why don't we append that to Sustainable Westport's website and be part of the resources after this. Okay, let's do can we do like a group of 3 questions here? This cluster, go for it, and I'll see if there's some similarity here. Go for it.
Okay. Westport residents were invited to hear about a $90 million emergency center project with a selected site to be the West Parish Meeting House historic property, and RTM voted protected property. In addition to this protected status, it is also a property that is made up of mostly wetlands and a vernal pool, both of which are protected by the Connecticut Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Act. Do you support the construction of this emergency center at this site?
That sounds quite specific. Unless, are these related or separate? There's 2 shakes of hands. Okay, quick answers to those. I want to get us through as many questions as we can. Go for it. Do you support the building of the emergency center on the protected site?
That is one of the sites that's being proposed, and I've spoken to Fire Chief Marsan about that, and he said that there are a number of different things that have to be addressed before any type of final recommendation could be made. So he was aware of those concerns, and I don't think that a plan should be in place until those issues are addressed.
I think Fire Chief Mars.
Hold on. Can we just, in order to get through everybody's question, these are the answers that you can all judge. / chat to them in the bar. Go for it.
Yeah, Fire Chief Marsan knows that there's a lot to be done still there. We have such a huge capital plan already that we're going to have to be very judicious and prioritize, and I don't think that's happening right away because we have to get through the archaeological and environmental issues first. So at this point in time, we're not ready to move forward.
Short answer on that site at the moment, I do not support it. I am entirely supportive of Chief Marsan and the fire department, and the same with Chief Farrell and the police department, $92.5 million. I have many other questions about it, which I'll save for another time unless you have a question about it.
Okay. So the most high energy question was yours with the white t-shirt, and then yes. And then I'll try and get to you. Yep.
So many residents don't realize how important composting is for reducing landfill waste, or that when recycling, if the recycling is placed in a plastic bag, they don't realize that bag is going to get thrown into a landfill. How can the town take a more active role in educating residents on these key initiatives?
Okay, so how can the town be more active on things like composting, what to recycle, what not to, other than joining Sustainable Westport on Instagram? How many people here are not members? Are not? Good. You're all here. Excellent. Okay, what can the town do? What can you do in office, basically?
No, I really think, can I jump in?
Yeah.
I really think that's something that's very achievable. Through better communication and through resident-driven desires like that, we can get there. That's something that we can make a priority day one through education. And you're right, a lot of people think their stuff's getting recycled, and it's not. That's a real issue. So we should really make that a priority.
So, in speaking to the Director of Public Works about just the recycling challenges that the town has, I think that chief among those challenges is the lack of communication about really what can be recycled and what can't be recycled, and the issues that the transfer station has from a size and a footprint perspective. But the thing that I walked away from my conversation with him is there needs to be separate glass recycling. And if we could find a way to do that, I think we would all benefit from that. But that's not easy to do. You've got to get your carding companies to participate in that, and single stream doesn't really work for glass recycling.
We've got excellent glass recycling piece at this transfer station, though. Kevin.
Yeah, I think it's awareness and education, and finding as many opportunities as possible to reach people where they are and where they consume information, whether it be on Sustainable Westport's Instagram or town-wide, the communications, town meetings, community conversations, just to stress the importance of it. And also, we're part of a 14-town consortium as it relates to our trash and waste and transfer stations. We can also see what our neighboring towns are doing, if they're doing anything that we're not from an education perspective.
John.
Yeah, would you support the installation of a solar system on Staples High School if it cost the town $0 and save the taxpayers thousands of dollars a year?
Ooh, softball to end with. Would you do a no-cost sale? Oh, I think we can add this to the Sustainable Transition Plan, can't we, John? Who's up for this?
Yeah, of course. The more that you can do, particularly when it doesn't cost you anything, the better off.
So that's a yes.
Yeah, I'd go further though and just say, so if it costs you a little bit, the net savings is still going to get you so much better.
Excellent. Yes, and?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Kevin?
Yes, I heard no risk, so yes.
it was such a positive question that we not only walk away as a town with a sustainable transition plan and solar on top of Staples. It just sounds like 3 for 3. I want to lean on into, and apologies to anyone that I've missed. Hopefully we've got as much of your spirit in your questions earlier. I want to leave you with a Maya Angelou quote, of which there are many, but the one I'm channeling today is the one about people will often forget what you say, but not how you made them feel. How would you like people to feel about your candidacy and how different it is from the other candidates, how different it is for the last 4 years, how different it is to maybe how this nation is progressing on this stuff? How do you want us to make you feel as we walk out tonight? Who would like to go first?
Yes, in terms of feeling, I would like for everyone to feel heard, and just remember that we are, at the end of the day, we are all Westporters, and we are all neighbors. And I think on many of our opportunities and challenges in town, if we're able to really just take a step back and think about who we want to be in the next 5, 10 years or beyond as a town, I think we will find a great starting point to move forward. And thank you again to everybody for coming tonight. Thank you.
Very simple, positive, promising, and collaborative. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Don.
I would like people to say that we're all 3 reasonable people that get along, and that when the town evaluated this campaign, they saw that it was done fairly and positively, and that when you ultimately go and make your decision, you can start on October 20th, you're going to pick the person who answered your questions best and who you believe has the most experience to lead our town.
Thanks very much. And can I see a big round of applause for every single one of the candidates for keeping it nice tonight? Thank you so much.